Hey guys, welcome to my channel. We are reading The Collected by K.R. Alexander. I did have permission from Scholastic to do this. I am reading chapter 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, and 52 today in this video. So I'm just going to start doing this real quick, get comfy, and listen to the story. Chapter 47. Beryl led me back down the creepy hallway towards the very room where I'd turned Josie into a doll. The room where I had once been held captive to. I held the bundle closer to my chest, guilt gnawing at me inside. This was the only way, the only way. Beryl's presence took up an entire corner of the room. Her head just brushed the ceiling, and her wild robes still twined and twisted around her like a obsidian serpents. She smiled coldly when I entered. "Do you remember?" she whispered. "This is where you first tasted the power." Her bony hand caressed the necklace glinting against the black layers of fabric. "The power to change things. The power to enforce your will." I swallowed. She seemed to forget to mention that she'd been the one using the power on me, but I nodded anyway. "Do you know why I had Carla bring you to me?" she asked, her voice raspy. "You were to be more than a simple doll, Anna. You were a prize." I shook my head, and she reached out a clawed hand. Shadows swirled in her palm, becoming a heavy black orb that floated over me. It stretched and flattened becoming a mirror. "Look," she said. I felt her words trip through my veins, forcing me to move against my will. "Remember?" I looked into the dark mirror, saw my terrified expression looking back. Then it shifted, and my entire world swirled away. Chapter 48. Beryl paced back and forth in the vision. She was smaller now and less mincing through shadows still swirled around me, and her pale white eyes burned like angry moons. Clara stood beside the pedestal in the center of the room. The necklace glinted around her neck, and her hands were clenched to her chest in fear. Her wide eyes followed Beryl's movements, and if expecting an attack at any moment, she didn't speak. "I need the younger sister," Beryl growled. "She defies my calls. That is why I have revived you, Clara. I need you to bring her to me, win her trust." Why do you need her, Great One?" Clara asked. Beryl snapped her full attention to Clara with an obstinate growl. Clara flinched back immediately, knocking into the pedestal and nearly tumbling over. "I only mean," Clara continued. "Her sister is already snared in Vanessa's clutches. Once you have Josie, her grandmother will surely follow. All you need is Jenny, and then you will be released." "Why do we need the youngest?" Beryl's eyes narrowed. It was clear she was debating between zapping Clara or telling the truth. Clara noticed as well. She quaked against the pedestal, her lips quivering. "Because Anna has her grandmother's power," Beryl said. "Her grandmother is in no place to teach her how to use that magic, but I could. I have watched her from afar. I know what it is in her heart. She will join us. She already longs to be away from her family and to be among people who understand. We must remove her sister and grandmother from the equation, and to do so, we will use Anna as bait. They will come to save her, and we will trap them. Show Anna how great it is to be powerful. Only then she will feel free to come into her power. Only then will she become the woman she is meant to be. Bring her to me, Clara. She will keep her safe, and when her family is gone, we will release her. She has a potential to become the greatest witch the world has ever seen," she crackled. "Well, second to me, of course. Of course, your evilness." Clara said. I will bring her to you, and then you'll free me. Bella reached over and laced her fingers through Clara's hair, stroking the girl's head. Clara nearly collapsed from fear. Bring me the girl, then will you get your reward. With her other hand, Beryl reached out and grabbed one of the dolls from off her shelf. But do not forget what comes with failure. With a terrifying howl, Beryl's jaw dislocated and elongated, revealing rows and rows of razor-sharp teeth. She chopped down on the doll's head, breaking it clean off, then tossing the body out the window, where it landed in the heap of others. Immediately, vines crawled over the broken doll, obscuring it from view. Beryl cackled, bites of porcelain cracking between her teeth, while Clara buckled to her knees in shock as the vision swirled away. I wonder who the doll had once been, if it was similar fate awaiting for my sister. Chapter 49. So you see, Beryl said, her words an entrancing coo. I never sent out to harm you. I only wanted to help you. You have a gift, Anna, one that the world desperately wants you to suppress. I alone can help you embrace it. She stepped forward, and her hand was on my cheek, but her words were so entrancing I didn't have the strength to feel fear, or push her away. At the moment I didn't want to. She was different somehow, less a monster and more helper. I swear the scent of her changed into the floral perfume my grandma once wore. Even her voice seemed to change, becoming more comforting, more human. Think of all the things you have felt alienated or insulted, she said. All the times the world looked at or treated you poorly because you were different. And maybe it was her magic, or maybe the memories were just too strong to push down anymore. But all the instances flooded back. The countless kids at school who parted when I walked past them and muttered mean words under their breaths. Alyssa and Suji crying and calling me a freak, screaming at me to get away from them. Josie scowling when I got dolls for Christmas. Mom looking at me with a worried expression when I told her I heard my dolls talking at night. Even Grandma Jeanie, the concern on her face whenever we came over, concern that I had done something wrong again, that I needed help, concern that couldn't be helped. Beryl was right. I'd spent my entire life being taunted and avoided because I was different. Because strange things happened around me, strange things that I couldn't control. But what if you could control them, Beryl whispered, reading my thoughts. And then new images formed before my eyes. Me walking down the hall, and now kids were smiling at me, asking how I was doing, and maybe it was because they were scared of what I'd do to them. I could see the fear in their eyes, could hear the waver in their voices, but it didn't matter. They were nice to me, going out of their way to make sure I was happy, giving me their lunch money for fresh cookies, saving me a seat in class. Even my teachers were practically attentive, making sure that I got a question wrong. It didn't count against me. Alyssa and Suji ran up to me after class and smothered me in big hugs, apologizing for ever being rude, saying that they loved and missed me and could I ever forgive them. And Josie, who offered to do my homework when I got home from school to let me decide what we watched after dinner. Mom, who bought me all the dolls I wanted. Then Grandma Jeanie's face appeared, but rather than a look of adoration or praise, she looked at me with wild, scared eyes. Her lips parted, whispered a warning, Anna, don't. Instantly the vision faded, falling to my feet like dust. You see, Beryl said, your life could be different, better. People would learn to love you, to fear you, just as they fear me. I can teach you. All I ask for is your sister. All I need is what you hold in your hands. I will show you how to wield all the power in the darkest corners of your heart. I look up at Beryl. My heart raced. Could I do this? Could I truly do this? Tell me how, I said. I need to know you're true to your word. Tell me how you turn someone into a doll and back again. Is it the necklace?" Beryl stepped back. Her hands twitched at her side of agitation. "Very well. This shall be our butter, a spell, and enchanted, in change for your sister." She raised her hand, and shadow stuff swirled through her claws, much like with a mirror, only this time they coalesced and became a golden ring, inlaid with a jet black stone. "The jewelry is a spell made physical," she said, touching her other hand to the locket around her neck. "You have the power within you. That much is certain. But this is a shortcut. It allows you to turn anyone you place it upon into a doll or back again. I will teach you how to make your own, but for now I shall give you this in exchange." She held her hands out to me. One held a ring as an offering, and the other demanded the figurine, and I clenched my chest. I swallowed and looked at the ring in her hand. Imagine all the terrible and wonderful things I could do with it. I knew that it was just the beginning of the power that she could teach me how to use. Then I looked up into the witch's cavernous black eyes, her sneering sharp teeth. Beryl was a monster, but so was I. I reached out and took the ring and dropped the wilt-wrapped figurine into her waiting grasp. Chapter 50. The moment the figurine dropped into Beryl's clawed hand, she tossed her head back into the manacled shackle and rattled the rafters and shook the broken window from their panes. I didn't stick around to see. I ran. I didn't know if she saw me leave or if she even cared. I just knew I had to get out of there immediately. Dust and cobwebs rained from the trembling walls and ceilings, making me cough the splutter. Her laughter followed me down the hall, out the door, down the front yard, where the vines crawled, and the broken dolls' wraths into the forest above and behind me. The funnel cloud of shadow and lightning crackled with renewal ferocity. As if it was laughing with her, my heart throbbed in my throat, and tears streamed from my eyes. I clenched the cursed ring in my sweaty palm, desperately trying not to drop it as I rushed down the path and through the undergrowth that tugged and scratched. I couldn't believe what I had done. "What are you becoming?" I thought to myself. I made it all the way back to the garden, Beryl's laughter hot on my heels before the victorious cackle turned into a vicious scream. Chapter 51. The storm broke with Beryl's scream of rage. "Anna!" she howled. Her voice carried on the wind and whipped and howled, cutting through the trees and the explosion of branches and twigs and dirt. I stumbled, rising in the elbow of my to protect my eyes against the debris, and fell into the grass. I kept my ring clenched to my fist so tight that it hurt. I had to get into the house. I had to. "How dare you!" Beryl roared. She appeared in a swirl of shadow and smoke, a flash of lightning, and there she was, towering above the trees, 2 stories tall, and every inch a demon. Her teeth were as long as my arms, and her eyes pulled in all the light like black holes. She pointed one long spear-like finger in my heart. The other held an unwrapped pink horse figurine I'd given her as a ruse. "You dare insult me with this trickery!" she demanded. She tossed the horse figurine to the ground, where it exploded in shadow and white sparks. I forced myself to stand and tried to square my shoulders, tried to find some strength, even though fear wanted to send me to my knees. There was a dozen things I thought I should say. Of course I'd never join you. I'm nothing like you. But none of them came out because in the deepest corners of my heart, I didn't think they were true. I didn't trick her just because I thought she was horrible. I didn't try to get the ring to save my sister because I thought I was a hero. I did it because I was scared. Not scared of her. I was scared of my power and what I might do with it. I cowered in the face of her fury, taking a step towards the beckoning back porch where the wind chimes toned furiously, and the screen door swung open and closed in the gale. I fully expected her to swarm towards me and tackle me to the ground and turn me into a doll and shatter me just like she had the doll in my vision. But she didn't move from the line of the trees. She glared at the wind chimes in the porch and the house. It was when I realized that a part of Grandma Jeannie's spell still held. The true Beryl couldn't leave the woods for now. "You'll never have her," I said. I tried my firm voice but failed. I held up the ring and trembling clenched my fist. "I'm going to turn Josie back, and then she and I will figure out how to stop you once and for all." I expected her to scream in defeat. Instead, she started to laugh, a hoarse, throating cackle, then sent goosebumps over my skin. When she threw her head back and howling viciously, I knew that I had made a horrible mistake. "You!" she said gleefully. "You think you could ever defeat me? You are but a bug, a little one. A bug I will happily squash between my feet. You and your meddling sister. You can't follow me," I said, and I have your ring." Even though they were statements, I couldn't help but feel that they sounded like questions. "Yes," she sneered. "Yes, you have the ring, and with it, you could turn anyone you wished into a doll and back into a human. But it's my spell, Anna. It is bound to me." She reached out the hand and curled her fingers. The ring buzzed and sparked and grew warm. I opened my fist on impulse and watched in horror as the ring dissolved, turning into nothing more than a cloud of black smoke that swirled through Beryl's hands, where it rematerialized into a ring. "You know nothing of power," Beryl said, "and you never will. Bring me your sister or I—" Just then a new sound filled the stormy skies, honking. Chapter 52. I screamed in horror as Mom pulled up in the pickup, her headlights on the windshield wipers slashing back and forth in the heavy rain. I ran towards her. She couldn't be here. She couldn't. "Mom!" I yelled out, but of course she didn't hear me. Not over the rain, not over the wind. Mom jumped out of the parked truck and started running towards me, her mouth open, calling out something, my name, to run. I couldn't hear her. All I could hear was Beryl's cackle. She raised one bony finger towards my mom. All I could hear was a terrible rumble of thunder as the bolt of lightning speared from Beryl's hand into my mom's chest. Light flashed. Thunder threw me to the ground, and when I stood up and blinked away, the blur of my vision of my mom was nowhere to be seen. And that is the end of chapter 52. I will see you guys in the next video.